brand new day, and we'll be making history. Are you with me? Won't you stay? We have come so far. This is who we are, and like the rising sun, we have just begun to play our part. This is the time we form the chorus. Lift your voice for those before us. We can rely on one another. Feel the pride, let's show our colors. We are heroes and dreamers. We are restless believers.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it is, wherever you are. This is Gail of Gaia, and this is Free Range, where we graze on wild ideas and we have wonderful guests. And tonight, we're going to journey into a top secret organization born in the 1950s where human conscience meets extraterrestrial intervention. Welcome to the ACIO and the Wingmakers saga. And Jessica Marrocco is going to walk us through the history of this organization. So let me bring her on. Welcome, Jessica.
Hello, Gail. Thank you for inviting me today. It's nice to see you.
I think this is such an important and timely topic right now. And as a matter of fact, there was a former U.S. fighter pilot that just recently came out saying that he encountered a UFO, and he's speaking out about it. And so this kind of thing, we're going to hear more and more all the time, and I think it's very timely. So I think it's really, again, timely that you're going to tell us the history of the ACIO.
Oh, yeah. And, well, you mentioned the 1950s. It's much older than that.
Oh, even older?
A lot older.
Okay.
And that's something that I'll reveal. We're going to do a PowerPoint presentation, and I'll share some of the information directly from Peter the Insider, who has access to all of the history and records and is in the 12th division of the ACIO. And myself, I'm in the 6th division. So I've worked enough with Peter and I've worked enough with the ACIO that I have this information. And, years ago, Gail, people used to talk about UFOs. And we have newspaper articles around the 50s, around the 60s, around the 20s. And they were very open about talking about it. And at some point, they decided that the public should not know about it anymore. And so that's been the challenge for all of us that want to have this disclosure and an understanding about what's been going on around our world. I mean, you said something earlier, your greetings. I happen to be watching that show, The Truman Show. I don't know if you're familiar with it, right? And he, says he does his greetings with everyone. And sometimes it does feel like we're on the stage, all being observed to see if we can figure it out. Or like the Matrix, trying to figure out what is going on out there. And I know that people get tripped up with personalities, whether you get that information from one person or from us or from you or, however, to be whoever you trust to gain this information is really important. And so in order to build your trust, it's years of being present and being consistent about who you are. And also people learn about you through your content. And so that's pretty much where we're at right now. And yeah.
They're not going to have much choice but to talk about it here pretty soon, from what I understand. If it's, assuming it's true, there are a lot of ships in the sky that are cloaked at the present time. And disclosure of this in actual presentation of ETs, I think will be forthcoming in the not too distant future.
Yeah, well, they've been living amongst us already. And that's the hard part for people to take in, but they wouldn't know any different because they're used to it. They got accustomed to certain types of behaviors, and everyone thinks it's somewhat normal. We have the way that our world is orchestrated. You can see that there's some things that they do, time anomalies and so forth. We can go on and on about how these influences have been here for a long period of time, but even more so. And then they try to normalize it. So you're like, oh yeah, it's not a big deal that glowing thing is in the sky right now,
Mhm.
So
Why do you think that they're so adamant about keeping it all this hidden and under wraps? What is that all about? Why?
there's a few different reasons why they're doing it. One is that they have made deals with the ETs. They don't want us to know. They're complicit with some of the behaviors and the control systems that we've been under, what we just went through with the pandemic. And so they don't want everyone to know what they know. They've back engineered a lot of technology. If we had access to that technology, we wouldn't need to uh, pay for these systems, or we would have free energy. So there's a lot of things. That's another piece of it. Anytime someone comes up with free energy inventions or ideas, it's usually squashed, or
Yeah,
they
yeah.
sell it to someone and it disappears. So there's, I think it's selfish reasons, to be honest with you. When we get technology from ETs, or a vehicle that has crashed here, they usually take it for military purposes, not for personal purposes, not for anything to benefit humanity, but for power reasons. And that's why we have to be careful as we tread on this path of opening up disclosure, because in the process, sometimes people go missing. And so it's a very, very careful path that we have to go on in this process. And I've seen already, quite a few people that have showed up and then had some strange incidences happen where, seemingly being healthy and then not. And a lot of people want to just blame it on the alphabet organizations, but
Mhm.
it's more than that. And part of my abilities of being an interdimensional seer, that I have been interacting, or I do communicate with those that are in our field. So this is something that's been ongoing. And there are hostile ones and friendly ones, those that are looking out for us, those that are not.
So would it probably be the malevolent ones that don't want the information out, or that influence
Um,
that?
the malevolent ones want us in a control system even more so than we're at right now. That's why they're implementing all this AI to get rid of jobs and anything, trying to replace humans in the workforce,
Yeah.
trying to replace humans in probably a lot of different areas. Some of our leaders may already be, could
Well, what kind of leaders are that? you know.
well, yeah, and not non-human, I'll say it like that, not just DT, but maybe, cyborg. We do have android cyborg beings that are here right now, I'll say it like that. And we've been talking about it for years. The whole Detroit Become Human scenario, where I know someone from Detroit, he had an encounter with an android. So there's a lot of like really weird things going on. It's not just the green people that everyone's been waiting for. There's a lot of, and not just the Dracos or reptilians, and not just the Greys. There are some of them that look like us, very much like us. So then you have to decipher, who is what and what is their agenda. And I could have a whole list of different agendas.
And it's not just that they use technology to look like us; they actually look like
Yeah,
us.
we were created humanoid. There were other how can I say it, uh experiments, that there were other humanoid type of beings that are here as well. not just from here, but from other locations. And so they're like the Lyrans, they have like a feline way about them. They're not necessarily a hybrid. They're a race, but they're humanoid.
Uh-huh.
The
Yeah.
Pleiadians.
Yeah, I heard we have our DNA is a combination of Lyrans, Syrians, Andromedans, and several others that I can't think of right now. But
and then the humans, of course, we've had multiple evolutions. There was
Anunnaki knocked us back.
yeah, well, they did, but they didn't. They brought us into another level. People talk about the slaves. Not everyone was a slave. They had slaves there that were doing digging. In my opinion, they were not the humans that were doing it. There was another group that's still here and complaining, but they're not. they're not human. They were not human. A lot of because they were strong. They were very strong, and it's like the reptilians or the Dracos were pretty much the ones that were doing a lot of that work. I mean, people have differing opinions, but that's what I've seen. And because a lot of people get upset about the slave system and everything, and that is, I mean, it's very valid. They do take and still use us for experimentation, like the Greys and some others. But yeah, we already have some comments coming in.
Okay, yeah, I gotta open that up.
What should I get started with the presentation, and then we can get into more of a conversation regarding this, because I want to make sure we have enough time.
Yes, okay. Yeah,
Okay.
let's get going with your presentation then, and I'll shut up.
No, that not. Unless you have another question, you let me know.
No. I'm fine. I can wait till you go through your presentation, because you might answer some of the questions I have or had just through your presentation. So.
Yeah. Well, let's see. I'm gonna get back here.
And I want to share a screen.
Yeah, I think I just lost the screen. Hold on a second. Okay. Wow. Opens. Oh, do you see it?
No.
Okay. Sorry about this.
Usually what happens when you share a screen, it'll bring up a lot, whatever browsers you have open, and then you click on the browser.
We got a lot of things open. That's part of the problem, but it's not. It's saying open system is Chrome. Is Restream.
Yeah, Chrome Restream likes Chrome. I'll tell you that.
Okay, hold on. It's going through all of my Chrome. Hold on, maybe I did something wrong. I did it fine last time. I don't know what's wrong here. Okay.
That's okay. This happens. It's not the first time, believe me. A lot of times people seem to have more trouble with this Restream. I don't know why, but if you can open
you can't see anything now, right?
I'm not seeing it, no.
Okay.
If you open it up in your Chrome browser, it should show when you share the screen. I don't know why it's not showing.
Yeah, I don't know why either. Hold on, this is kind of a mess.
You might be able to send it to my email. I don't know if I can make it work. And then
No,
you
I
can
think
tell me
that I did it last time. I don't know how I did it, but let me see. Okay, that's going.
I heard a bleep. Usually that is a good
That's to
sign.
join the restream. But do you see anything now?
No. It says you shared a screen, but I don't see your screen. I don't know.
I know, it's really weird.
Maybe it's the program. Let me see what happens if I click add to the scene. Is that of any help? Nope.
Let me see.
Usually what happens is I'll make our picture small and I'll come up on off to the side.
It's under Chrome tab, or does it go under Window tab? And then there's an entire screen.
Well, try either one. I use Chrome to bring this program up, but on the share screen, I'm not sure why it's doing what it's doing, because it should come up.
Let me go out and then come back in.
Okay.
All right. Okay.
Please be patient, everyone. We have these problems every once in a while. I don't know why. I don't know if it's the program or what it is, but every once in a while we run into these little issues. Good old technology isn't always what it's cracked up to be, and frequently have materials, unless we're being interfered with, because that happens also. So, but this is a very interesting organization, and maybe while she comes back up, I can show you the actual screen itself, or the ACIO website, which you see. Now that's not exactly the way it should be either. So interesting. I think it's Restream that's messing up from the looks of it. So I'm going to stop sharing, and she should come back on here in a minute, so please be patient. Again, I don't, we never know when this kind of thing is going to happen. Well, I'm waiting for her to come back in, and okay. She hasn't come back yet. Maybe. Okay. I am communicating with Restream at the moment to see if we can get this fixed. Well, thank you for being patient out there. Maybe we'll gather some more people if it doesn't take too long. Okay, it sounds like you're having a party in New York. Holy smokes, $64 a bottle, really? That's some pricey wine. By the way, I have to say welcome, everyone. I'm glad you're here, and we should have this up and running shortly, I hope. Priscilla, I hate beer too. I don't even like the smell of it. I don't know how people get used to drinking it. Sometimes I don't even like wine that much. I'm not a drinker, so anyway. Anyway. Does that... Okay, wait, I think she came back on, so let me see. You're back.
I'm back. I had to restart the computer. Let's see the difference.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's a good idea, actually. And then going out and coming back in, sometimes that fixes things. Sometimes it doesn't.
I'm looking to
okay,
see.
Somebody's bringing up that there's been a lot of solar activity, and some of that was today, and that very well could be the problem.
Yeah. Well, this is also the summer solstice, and I've been speaking with Peter regarding, he said that they were doing, the elite were trying to do this ritual to create another world war, like the total war of some sort. So I think it was a power play of some sort. So we've been working with a lot of people and been very busy trying to take care of this. And so I don't know, it's pretty overwhelming. But today in particular, we were worried about that, what was going to happen. It's still not quite over, but if they open up the portals that they wanted to open up, I think that, of course, it's lucrative for them. They make money off of these wars.
Yeah, that's all they care about: money, control, and power.
Yeah.
I was under the impression that a lot of them have been taken down already, but apparently there's enough of them that still haven't been, because there's still, we haven't created a peaceful environment at this point in time.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of this. We have, but they were trying. All it takes is a group that, a group of the elite that want to change things. And the Bilderberg were over in Sweden. I don't know if you've seen that, but they were having discussions about our future, not asking us, but they're discussing even
what they're going to do to us, right?
Population was on their list, by the way.
Oh yeah, so I did see that. Maybe that
is a serious problem.
I've got someone from Restream is asking me to clarify what browser and what device are you using?
I'm using a Mac, but what's weird is I'm looking now. I could probably go and look at a something that's on the internet, but I don't see how I can open it up to my desktop, which I don't know if that makes a difference.
It might. Let me ask them.
Okay. And also it's the Chrome tab site will be able to see the contents of your screen. So it's saying Chrome tab window. The window might be, well, that's where we're at right now.
The window's not working? Have you done the share screen right now?
Let's see if that works. How's that? Is that sharing?
No, not yet. But sometimes I have to turn it on. So let me see.
Can you
where
see
it
this?
Came up. Oh, yeah. Okay, hang on a minute. Let me see if I can make it come on. Well, that's not exactly how it's supposed to look, but
How is it looking?
that don't look right at all.
How about like this?
I'm seeing the chat and I'm seeing the history of the ACIO, but no, nothing else. It's not. It should actually be in a different position. Gosh, this is not good.
How about this?
It hasn't changed. Nothing's changed. If you're sharing the screen and you go to a different page, you want to shut it off and, stop sharing and then reopen it. That may help. She says, there are 3 options available: browser tab, window, or entire screen.
Right, right. Oh, wow, there's multiple here.
What the heck? That shouldn't even be. No, yeah, we're. Oh my goodness.
The window within a window.
Wow. I don't know.
Okay. So let me try to get out of that. Stop sharing then. Or hide.
Yeah, I don't see why it's not. That's weird. Yeah, not working.
Let me see if I can find something. Okay, so can you see this?
I don't understand why it's not coming up in the right place. Is that helpful? Is that what you want to?
I was just sharing just to see if it works, if you're able to.
That's more how it should look.
Do you see? What do you see?
I see what looks like somebody. Oh, I have to make it even bigger to really see it. Some guy sitting down on.
Right.
Okay.
Okay, that's so you can see it. So would it be big enough for me to do the presentation? Are you saying the screen's not right?
Well, I don't know. I guess we'd have to ask the audience if they can see it. Because
How about this? Can you see this?
I'm not seeing anything yet.
That is really strange. So I'm just trying to show on desktop.
Yeah, she said, what did she say?
Maybe.
It says, keep in mind on a Mac, showing audio available for browser tabs only.
It shows the entire screen. Would that make a difference?
Try it. Go ahead and try it. We can,
Yep.
as long as we can talk behind it, it wouldn't matter. I don't care if my face is up there.
Okay. Can you see that?
Well, let me add scene. This is weird because it usually comes off on the other side. It's that's a little bit better. Yeah, I think you got it. I think you got it.
I got it?
I think so. Try another. Yeah.
How about this?
That should be good. I think that works.
All right. So great. We can get started. So here's the history of the ACIO. You notice it says advanced. So it's ACIO. So A is for advanced or alien contact intelligence organization. Most people just think it's advanced, but they use both. So here's the ACIO origins. There's no record, no recorded date of when the ACIO was founded. That's how old it is. It existed long before the documented history and have closely monitored and studied humanity during key world events throughout history. And the ACIO has been instrumental in documenting activity on the Earth regarding all flora, fauna, as well as animal and human life. The ACIO initially was here as observers, initially established to oversee humanity's development throughout the ages, required to abide by a non-interference policy with developing a human civilization similar to a prime directive. They maintain a covert presence over humanity throughout the history until modern times. So they've been here as observers. And so they do as much as they can to not intervene. And we're going to go deeper into that discussion because some people get angry at us about this, but there is a purpose behind it, particularly regarding the development of civilizations and seeing the decisions, allowing decisions to be made as opposed to controlling the thoughts and the minds of humanity. So that's what separates us from the others that wanted to do control systems of some nature. Throughout history, the ACIO closely monitored various ET visitors that would come to interact, in many cases, even to manipulate early human civilizations. Instead of learning from ancient aliens, humanity began to worship them and consider them as gods, which introduced new problems. Some visitors used the naivete of the relatively young human race to take control and eventually use humans as a slave race. And this is what we're referring to. So some people have accused us of handling humanity or manipulating, and it's just the opposite. But by observing and then seeing others come in and manipulate, that's when there were problems and then decisions needed to be made. Through the year 5000 and 6000 BC, the ACIO has had an 80% influence on humanity. That's quite a bit. It's 80%. The ACIO observed many ancient civilizations develop from the year 5000 to 6000 BC, such as Sumeria, Iraq, Babylon, and indigenous cultures, China, India, Vietnam, Laos, Cambodia, Thailand, the Middle East, Persia, Israel, and more. These are some of the very early civilizations that we gained a lot of information from in our present time. We go back and learn from them. They knew a lot more than people gave them credit for, and they had a major influence on where we are today. And much of what they did, we lost that information. So they were very advanced. The ACIO was instrumental in observing and assisting some groups during the following development of the early civilizations. So they were there during the time of ancient Egypt, Syria, Aztecs, the Incans, the Celts, the Mayans, the Vikings, Greeks, Romans, and others.
Do you mean the ACIO was there? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay.
They were there and they were assisting them in the early development. So where they had problems, they were there to help. And look, and that's ancient Egypt. So everyone sees ancient Egyptians coming in, just developing everything. And this may be controversial. Some people might say, I don't believe you. I don't believe that this group, the ACIO, has been here that long. But keep in mind, they were not the ACIO is comprised of human, hybrid, and an ET race, and we're going to get into that. So it's a benevolent ET races that have been helping humanity, and which was the origin of the ACIO. And through the years, they've incorporated humans and hybrids to assist in the process. So there's also another component. There's an Intergalactic Council. And they also have a very strong influence about what happens here. And also, they're the ones that make sure that no one intervenes with the development of humanity, with the certain exceptions, and we'll get into that soon. So this situation occurred at the end of the 5th to the 15th century, where the Intergalactic Council created new guidelines for the Earth during a meeting with the ACIO and asked them to cease any and all activity and assistance to humanity. This was the precursor to the Dark Ages and also the Black Plague. So the very moment when they told humanity to pull away, through some higher wisdom, they saw that something was going on. And for whatever reason, which Peter and I have not, well, Peter hasn't clarified to me why they pulled away, because you would think this is a very destructive and horrible time, whereas it was a plague. And we also had this plague revisit us again with the pandemic. So think about it. It's a time where it forces the Earth to pause. Now, others took advantage of it and started adding technology to the vaccines and all, what have you. But I mean, there's many hands in this. Well, I'll just say it like that. But the primary thing here is once the ACIO was pulled away, this is what happened. And they weren't happy about it, but there was a reason for it. We're moving forward now, where the ACIO observes humanity during the period of minimal intervention. So now they're pulled back a lot more. In the earlier civilizations, they would come in and actually assist and help guide in some of the developments of the early civilization. You saw that in the earlier page that we looked at. Now, after the Black Plague, there was a very strong withdrawal from their presence. And humanity began to stray and introduce colonization to the planet because other galactic influences. So that's where they started enslaving others. And where did they learn that from? From the other beings from the other galaxies, or our galaxy, that wanted to enslave humanity, and humanity learned to enslave themselves or others.
Lovely.
Might have been different from them. This brought in hardships, slavery, conquistadors, mostly under the guise of religion and patriotism. The ACIO was still not allowed to intervene.
Even though other negative, I'm sorry, I shouldn't say anything right now. Even though other negative ETs or malevolent ones intervened, they still, I mean, they did what they weren't supposed to do, I guess, is what I can't figure out. Why there can't be intervention after there was intervention that was all negative. But,
I know, and I had the same discussion with Peter regarding it, because sometimes there's a higher purpose, or maybe it was a part of a learning experience to see the detriment of what they were doing to their own species, their own existence. And now, we see still, even until this day, that there's tensions because of mistreatments of people. And still it's happening. Maybe not slavery, but abuses.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's debt slavery. I mean, it's a different kind of slavery. You still have to work your butt off in order to survive, at least in America. And
you have to make a certain amount of money. And if you're not, they set it up that you are required pretty much to have 2 incomes per household. And a lot of people are single.
Yeah.
They don't have that flow of money, or they're older, and the cost of living has gone way up. And it's incredibly unfair. They don't really care, and they're just taking in tons of money. I get really heated about this topic as well, because it's unnecessary. there's billions of money that's just being thrown away on nonsense. And
or hoarded someplace too. They got, they've found different places where they're hoarding large amounts of they're fake cash, but still.
Well, yeah, and then they want to switch it over to a digital where then they can control what you deserve or.
Yeah. They don't like what you're saying. They'll cut you off or cut off your account.
Absolutely.
Like they did the truckers in Canada.
Yeah. And also, like the credit system that is set up by the Chinese have set up. And I think they wanted, I think that's what they're trying to do with
that's horrific.
Bilderbergs and, all of them. They would like to definitely control, if you behave, you can get your money. If you don't, which would take away free will and freedom of expression and all of that. And, having everyone having what they need, everyone having the food on their table and the resources, the heat in their homes and whatever it is that they need. Everyone deserves that, but it shouldn't be held over their head, to watch everything that they say or think or, it's a very, very bad policy. It's not the way to convert the people. It's a way to create more slavery, right? So this is what we're touching on, and both of us are a little fired up about it.
Yeah.
Because it's true. It's very true.
Yeah.
So here's the first agenda of world domination. So now, all right, so these beings, right, these different ones come in from the galaxy and say, oh, look at humanity. They're not very smart. They didn't even know that we exist. We can even make ourselves look like them. They can't tell the difference. And they listen to everything that we say. And we can just, show them that we can, make something levitate, and they think we're a god. So we can get away with all of this. So you have these ETs that are coming in and doing all this stuff. And then they convince them to create different types of secret organizations where they only let certain people in and certain bloodlines and certain families. And those bloodlines, on many occasions, are connected to or they're hybrids of some of these species. And that's why there's the haves and the have-nots. And they created it. So in 1717, the first Masonic Lodge was founded with intentions of world domination agenda, which is what we're under right now. The ACIO was given permission by the Intergalactic Council to intervene on this situation. They were finally allowed to intervene, and this created a severe imbalance between humanity and non-human entities. So the non-human entities posing as humans here, taking, hoarding, creating empires, watching the people suffer because they don't care, because they're not connected to them. So we're going to get on the topic of world wars. The First World War broke out with the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand and of Austria/Hungary. And World War II broke out as well as other wars thereafter as a result of non-human intervention in world domination. And then, after World War II, humans became the subject of experimentation through MK Ultra, which was introduced for the purposes of mind control and human experimentation, and the introduction of LSD as a lab-created hallucinogen and experimental drugs. This was the introduction of all types of MyLabs, human experimentation that humans began to do to one another after learning through non-human entities. So the ideas, the influence,
are they hybrids though?
Some of them are hybrids, some of them are real entities, and they have incredible ways to manipulate and seduce. And they convinced scientists to experiment on their own people to figure out what the mind was capable of, just like they use CERN to be able to access God or the God particle, because they want us to tear apart our reality. They want us. They can't just come in. If they came in a full-out war, then that would be a problem. If they came out, showed who they were, said we're dominating and taking over, that would be one thing. But they're not. They're doing it in a way that
Covertly.
they're making themselves look innocent by convincing humans to do these things. So they're having humans do their dirty work, not realizing, thinking that this is something intelligent, thinking that this is something purposeful, or, oh, you'll learn more about humanity if you experiment on these people. And
Sick.
so that's how it is gone. So now, in the ACIO is in our present time, where we are at right now. The ACIO currently operates on Earth from the underground portion of the Pine Gap military base in Australia. This is a military base with high levels of security and not open to the general public. Although they are physically at the location, they are also able to move in and out of the space through time travel and various modes of transportation. These are the benevolent groups, and I know some people will say, no, they're not. But these are the ones I have been working with for quite a few years. They have been very helpful. They show up in different times for different reasons. The one that I have particularly worked with, and I started working with him around 2015 or so, is someone he refers to himself as Gary, and he's an emerther, and that you'll see the emerther is to the far right. So the Council of Five works directly with the ACIO, and they have been here on the planet prior to humanity's presence on the planet. So before humans and human hybrids who have been working with the ACIO, the Council of Five were the ones that were here first. We'll say it like that. They adopt a guardian-based role over the Earth and work with other galactic beings and other councils who are assisting our context of existence. Peter the Insider is the director of the 12th Division, and it's more of a military division. I know you mentioned the Wingmakers. I'll explain the Wingmakers to you a little further, because there's different divisions of the ACIO. And before Peter came out, the Wingmakers were here first, but they are scientists. So if anyone says I'm a soldier and I work with the 15th Division, or I've had people tell me, I'm on the 15th Division, you have to obey me, or something like that. Maybe they believe that, or they're feeling like they want to insert themselves there, but it's not like that. These were extremely intelligent people that were brought in to work with the Wingmakers. But we're going to get back to the military division, because Peter works with super soldiers. He was given permission by the ACIO to share information that was previously hidden from the general public. His intel is coming directly from the ACIO, the Council of Five, and the Intergalactic Council, and he has access to our future through ancient and advanced technology. So when he provides intel, he'll talk about something, and everyone will say, that just sounds crazy. It doesn't look like it's going to happen. And then a couple years later, it happens. So I have this kind of thing where, usually I listen to him and I'll write it down, and he'll tell me that something's going to happen. And it sounds believable. But when he told me about the pandemic and that everyone in the world was going to be locked down, I said, there's no way they can do that.
Yeah.
And he reminds
me.
He said, you didn't believe me. He was talking about it, and I have proof. You'll look at our old shows. He was talking about it, and disclosing that, and what the vaccines were going to be like. He told us everything before the doctors were exposing it years ago. This is my background. I know some people wonder what I'm doing here. I wonder what I'm doing here. No, the reason why, they've been working with me for a long time. They recognized me, when I was born, and when many people are born, they have an idea of someone coming in, and they noticed a little something different. And then also that I was a seer. I was seeing, I was hearing at a very young age. I'd have full out visions. I didn't know what they were. I thought everyone had them at first. And I could see interdimensionally. But I didn't really talk about it because people thought I was weird. And so, meanwhile, I had been communicating with them. And at some point, they told Peter that I needed to be working with them and that I was in Cicada 3301. And it's not necessarily just soldier work, but it is deciphering things. And so people look at Cicada and they say, oh, this is like this complex mathematical equations and, factoring in certain things. And really, that is not my strength. I mean, at some point, I know I was heavily wiped in mind. How can I say, they manipulated and did something to my brain at an early age because they thought I was too smart. And what happened was, I developed in other ways. And so, but I remember, trying to figure out certain things, certain math problems. I was like, this is really easy. Why don't I remember this? And I know that they did something there, but so Cicada is not specifically math-based. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here. That is not exactly how it works. And I have interacted with the men in black, and people have talked about the men in black as being really bad. But they're also part of this infrastructure that has to maintain and control certain things. And they are not necessarily the ones that are hiding technology or a crash landing of a spacecraft. They're not the ones that are hiding it, but they will take it to, recovery for whoever is in there or what have you. But they have other purposes as well. So some people see that the men in black, oh yeah, they're just trying to hide everything. And they're not the ones. It's the governments that are not wanting disclosure. It's not the men in black.
So it's the leaders in the government, or is it the entire government?
Yeah, I would say there's leaders. Well, there are those that are presenting themselves as the leaders, but of course we know there are others behind them.
Yeah.
That some people will never know their name, though they would walk right past them and have no idea who that person is that's pulling the strings, right? Those people never show themselves. It's just like hundreds of years you didn't know about the Payzers. They were behind the scene, but they were actually the French royals. And they were very, very involved with, they were the ones behind the Rockefellers and the Rothschilds funding them. So these people are always behind the scenes. So it says,
are they human?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
I don't think the Illuminati is human either.
I agree. I don't see how they could be.
No. This goes back to, these are the same ones. Remember, ETs don't have the same lifespan as we do. They're like immortals. So you talk about these immortals that live forever and are influencing our world. And that's what it is. So this is what we're working on right now.
They have to shut down the soul trap? Or would ACIO help with that? Or I mean, because that's they wipe our memories when we come back.
Yeah, I mean, there was a natural process of reincarnation, and that's something I'd like to talk with you on another show.
Okay.
Because a lot of people have misconceptions about reincarnation, and it's not necessarily a soul trap, but we can get into that in another time. But yes, there are abductions that are happening that definitely would take the soul in a way that they shouldn't. And then super soldiers go into certain types of cycle. They made agreements at some point to be a super soldier to protect and preserve humanity. So there's that part as well. And if people kind of clump it all together, and it's really that there's different factions, there's different categories of things that need to be separated and identified, and it will help people in the long run to better understand instead of being up in arms. So anyhow, so my role, which I have requested to do this, they asked me to assist what Peter was doing in particular, and Peter had a lot of how can I say, a lot of difficulty presenting his information. He had his language barrier, as well as his way he presents certain things. He's got kind of a military slant in talking about things, so it's a little rough. But there's those groups that do not want him to put out this information. A lot of people have tried to block us and complain about us and make up stories or lies, what have you. And the greater picture behind it is that Peter knows what's up ahead, and if people were all listening, they would be aware of what's happening. But since they've kind of talked bad about him or said, don't listen to him, he doesn't know what he's talking about, and that was intentional, to get your eyes off of what he's saying. I'm not saying he's perfect, but he has been accurate in what he said was coming. And that's what they don't want people to know. So we know that when people are complaining about us, there's a bigger picture behind it, and there are those that are influencing them. So we try not to be too upset about it. But that was my intention. It was to help here. And I started helping him because I was asked personally, not by Peter, although Peter did ask me multiple times. But I communicated with the Council of Five, and they asked me personally to assist Peter. So I have been documenting and retaining the integrity of the intel. That's meaning recording everything. You see me writing all the time. We have preserved all of our shows. We have them backed up and making sure that content is available for what Peter had said. Because sometimes what he says takes a couple years out before it happens, and we've watched it happen like that. So, and so we're trying to preserve those things that are helpful to humanity, and also that, as I said, I'm not exclusively a soldier, but I am a soldier as well, as part of the Krueger agents and Unit 374. We'll get into that in a minute. So here's the ACIO divisions. The ACIO has 612 active divisions. So Peter's number 12. I'm in the 6th division. There's 612 active divisions.
That's a lot.
It's a lot of divisions. But because of specific circumstances, as divisions were split and merged wherever necessary, they are numbered from 1 to 753. The first division is 0, is the ACIO's headquarters of Human Resources Department. So you'll see that those other divisions are very specific in a different way. So the division 0 to the main headquarters, situated in Pine Gap in Central Australia. It has multiple branches all around the world. The largest, most well-known of them are Area 51, Groom Lake in the U.S., Yamantau, Aklino, and Belarus, the DUM, or Deep Underground Military Base Complex in Russia. From Division 1 to 80, the first group of divisions deal with gathering evidence and clarifying the role and the purpose of the ACIO in present day and during different time periods in history. They are able to do this thanks to historical, geological, and archaeological research. It is important to note that throughout time, the purpose of the organization was very diverse because of the wide variation of ET races present on Earth. Do you see that? There's a wide variation of ET races present on Earth and has been, as well as the different cooperating relationships among races. And in our current situation, we mostly deal with the Council 5 in the Intergalactic Council, but there are ongoing communications with other ET races. Division 80 through 140, or it could also be 100 to 162 if you factor in the 700 number. The second group of divisions is responsible for the relationship with the other intelligent beings and or races of any kind. In most cases, they are bilateral, trilateral, or multilateral cooperation agreements. These agreements need to be officially sealed under the allowance of some of the superior organizations. For example, or the Intergalactic Council, or the Council of 22, Council of 10, Council of 12, Council of 7 and 5. They are responsible for sorting out the alien races into 3 categories, also with subcategories. So, for example, you find, we could say that the Greys is one category 1, and they will go under these types of criteria. Are they good cooperative? Are they good neutral? Are they good experimental? The second category, are they neutral, hypothetically cooperative, hypothetically ignorant, hypothetically experimental? And the third category, are they invasive for our natural resources? Are they invasive for energy? Are they invasive for people? So this is what the division of 80 to 140 is to assess and have a full understanding of these races that arrive and how they should be managed, or whether they, should be observed very closely. The divisions of 141 to 210. The third group of divisions is in charge of relations amongst organizations that are important in the universe, megaverse, or dimension. The Intergalactic Council, the Universal Council, and the councils of 22, 10, 12, 7, or 5. These organizations fulfill roles similar to the wide variety of organizations like the United Nations, European Union, NATO, OSCE, OECD, the Red Cross, Interpol, Europol, etc., do on Earth. So, for example, the ACIO has been organizing things, or the Galactics have already been organizing things, and that's why we created organizations in kind, right? Each of them in the universe have different or more in-depth and complicated roles, which in the main role of this group of divisions to fit and coordinate these organizations in the best way possible. Division 211 to 250. The fourth group of divisions is trying to keep the ACIO's operations as a low profile as possible. Sometimes this is a very hard task to achieve, mostly because of the unpredictable circumstances. These could be a bleed through into our reality, or our reality is not properly aligned to cover the operations, especially when it comes to time traveling. It can also easily be caused by irregularities or discontinuities in our reality, very well known by the term glitch in the matrix. So, for example, the operations of time travel are covered by the division of 211 to 250, and they try to keep everything in alignment so there's not major glitches or these Mandela effects or butterfly effects and so forth. And the last but not least, there might be interventions from ET species where they believe that they are helping us, but instead they're doing the complete opposite. So maybe well-intentioned ETs, it's always trying to assess what the intention is and what they want to achieve. But we have multi-realities, we have multi-dimensions and multi-timelines, And of course, we have a multiverse of species and races, some of which we have yet to encounter. So the division of 251 to 300, this is the fifth group of divisions, is helping multiple international elite soldier units in their missions. In most cases, there are no analog or digital records about them, not only about their operations, but even about the existence of such units. We know them under the specific term as Black Ops. Instead of a name, most of them use 3-digit numbers as identification, which authorizes them only for certain specific types of operations. An important example operating under number 374, the unit of Lincoln Clay, started to uncover their operations and their purpose of why they were formed. So a lot of these soldiers, the elite soldiers, do go undetected, and they are there for a purpose. You asked for intervention. This is the division that would assist in certain types of intervention. Division 361 to 410, this is the seventh group of divisions, is responsible for distributing reverse engineered technology to mainstream manufacturers in nearly all fields. They are mostly focused on health technologies, cutting-edge energetic technology, and technology for higher safety and less emissions in personal and cargo transport, more environmental friendly materials, easier ways of recycling, etc. So the intention is to create technologies that are not harmful to the earth. And when you see technologies that are harmful to the earth, or ideas of limiting technologies and introducing others that create other problems, then that's something that's not related to the ACIO. It's related to other groups that are trying to implement things. Division 411 to 480, the eighth group of divisions, is responsible for stabilizing different portals that affect the Earth due to their proximity to us. There's a wide variety of them. For example, gateways to other timelines, realities, worlds, universes, dimensions, megaverses, etc. These specific divisions are keeping all of those portals separated from each other. This is a very important job, because if these portals get mixed up with each other, this could result in distortion and can literally delete parts of our universe and or replace it with new ones. So that division, you could see the importance. The divisions are not here to be famous. They're not here to see how many nations they can run. They're literally assisting our systems, or assisting humanity in the back end. Division 481 to 560, the ninth group of the divisions, is responsible for keeping our reality and context of existence aligned in order to avoid any sort of discontinuities that can lead to glitches in our context of existence when multiple portals or wormholes are interfering with each other. This causes bleed-throughs or overlays between many realities, timelines, universes, worlds, dimensions, or megaverses. This is a phenomenon that is nearly impossible to predict the outcome of, and it is why the ACIO has to be very patient and careful with their actions. So everything has to be assessed when something like that happens. And we've had multiple bleed-through realities coming in over the past couple of years, and why there's just such crazy behavior. And prior to the Ukraine and Russian conflict, there was a major bleed through created by a bunch of kids that were playing this video game called Escape from Tarkov. And Peter said, we have a problem. They're creating some kind of hive mind. And when you create a hive mind, it can be very influential. And it actually started opening up portals, which led to this scenario that we're in right now.
This was a game?
It was a video game.
Wow.
Yeah. And the video games The video games are soft disclosure. And this is another reason why some people early on were kind of mocking what we were discussing, because the video games, movies, TV series were a soft disclosure about what was happening from our future. And that we've been able to prove it, but early on, people had a hard time. We can get into that topic at another maybe presentation or discussion. But the bleed throughs have been happening, and I could show the date when we were talking about Escape from Tarkov, and then a couple of years later, like I said, it takes a few years, and then it happens what Peter has predicted, and he's not doing it as a psychic. We want to be very clear about that. This is from his ACIO records and access to it, that he knows what's going on. This is Division 561 to 612. The 10th and the last group of the divisions is involved with carefully documenting all ACIO activities and initiatives. They're typically known for being at the forefront of which much bureaucracy and red tape politics. They're closely tied to the organization's headquarters. These divisions are generally responsible for granting or denying approval for all critical operations, including public disclosures. So Peter will tell me, we can talk about this, we can't talk about that. Or he'll say that we have permission to go ahead and come in and assist in some area where there's a problem. So as I was just talking about early in the conversation, how they wanted to, the elites or this groups of people, and it was happening on many levels, were going to do a summer solstice ceremony of some sort that was going to open up portals and create a very, very bad anomaly, which was potentially going to create a universal war, or a total war, as Peter calls it. So that's the kind of things that we had to have discussions. We had to research. We had to try to figure out, decipher it, where it was coming from, and we actually found the location and source of it, and we shared it on a show recently, in our last show, Disclosures. But that was after a couple months of researching it.
Wow.
Here is the Wingmakers. According to Peter the Insider, the Wingmakers project is in fact an authentic initiative that originated from the 15th Division of the ACIO that was originally founded in 1806. Now, if you go and look for books or whatever, they don't talk about this date. They act as if it was, much more recent. But as we well know, as the Wingmakers time capsule had become, it really did not come close to being the representative of the ACIO 15th Division agenda or the overall agenda of the entire ACIO, much less. More accurately, it likely represented just 2% of the total initiative that the 15th Division was involved in. So let me reframe this. The 15th Division, who were a bunch of scientists that were doing some research, and then there's some others that were not related at all to the Wingmakers, but they're saying that they are. We're not going to get into that, but what I will say is Peter said that the 15th Division in their agendas with the Wingmakers was a very small percentage of what the ACIO is about. It's so if people thought that was incredible, all of the content, the artwork, the information regarding it, it's only a small segment, not just of the entire ACIO, but only 2% of the 15th Division. So it's a tiny, tiny segment of what they were actually involved in.
Are Wingmakers related to J-rods at all, or are you familiar with that term?
To find that term.
As far as I recall, it refers to someone from the future coming to the present to help.
help them warn people. I
Yeah.
mean, that Peter does that.
Okay.
Peter's been doing that for years.
Okay.
And I'm not saying he's the only one. There are definitely others. The Wingmakers, yeah, they've been in the future and they've come back and but there's multiple others that related to the ACIO that are involved with that. So that wasn't their primary objective, is to introduce time travel. There were many other things that they were involved with. As like I said, that's what made it kind of ambiguous. And because they came out before Peter did, that people all go directly to the Wingmakers. No, it has to be like this. Well, they don't fully understand what what their initiative was about. But Peter did a show with the grandsons of Daniel Salter, Derek and Daniel, and we talked about the Wingmakers. It was a really, really good presentation regarding something that I don't think anyone has ever talked about, and Peter talked about, explained a little bit more about what the Wingmakers were doing, and we can maybe share that with public.
Okay.
I always say the biggest challenge with Peter is just trying to understand his accent and the way he says things, and he kind of pauses, and he has a different way of presenting things, and it's not always easy for people. But if you can get past that part, then you'll say, wow, this is really interesting. You see all the little pieces coming together and what the purpose was. And essentially it's a warning about the future and the Wingmakers.
Wow. Since we have various timelines, I shouldn't be interrupting you. It's and you go to the future to see what's going on, and then aren't there different timelines, like different things that could happen in the future?
Potential futures, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So Peter went into some of the timelines in the situation where we were at, and that's where he saw the escape from Tarkov, and then also this other video game called Metro, where in the video game of Metro, they actually see a dystopian reality. And then he went to an even step further, and this is over a course of years, right? He'd go off on his mission, come back and tell me what was going on, and tell the public what was going on. And he said that they blew up, they just totally destroyed, not only nuked everything, but there was biochemical warfare, and there was all sorts of other things, and even had destroyed the electromagnetic field of the earth, the upper portion of the earth, he said that if you would be above ground for even minutes, you could go insane because of the electromagnetic field being completely off, and plus it was highly toxic and radiated, and just the air quality didn't exist really. Yeah, it was really bad. He says that we had to change some things. We definitely had to change some things. We were headed in the wrong direction, very much so. And that's why these are the assets, the ones that are actually time traveling, and something called Project Ibis, which we're finding out that more and more people were actually involved with Project Ibis in time traveling. And not just the 20 and back, but unlimited time travel, not constrained to what they call 20 years into the future and then back. So this is the Krueger Mercenary Corporation. They specializes in building using physical augments, that means cyborgs, that gives personal highly enhanced abilities such as a greater speed, agility, strength. These are what they call super soldiers. The Krueger augments are commonly used by special operatives called runners, who specialize in parkour and acrobatics and have extraordinary speed and stamina. And they are typically deployed on espionage and sabotage missions where their incredible speed allows them to infiltrate facilities steal intelligence, and sabotage key targets extremely effectively. So this is a military group that's working with the ACIO, and with Peter the Insider knows Gabriel Krueger, who runs the corporation. This is Gabriel Krueger. The corporation was established in our timeline in 1815 after the Napoleonic Wars. The organization was founded by, he was a former Nazi, Gabriel Krueger, who was originally from the year 1815, before he time traveled forward in time to the 1920s to connect with his descendants in Germany prior to World War II. So it's like he learned something about the Nazis and then went back, try to correct everything, but is a very, very strategic and very intelligent individual. And I'm going to tell you something, Gail. I talked to someone that I've known, who literally saw Gabriel Krueger in Austria. No, it wasn't Austria. It was Slovenia. And he was around during 1815. He's around today.
Wow. Interesting.
So this person contacted me and they said, I saw someone that looked exactly like Gabriel Krueger, and we had a discussion with Peter, which I'm going to release to the public at some point, and they can hear the conversation. He describes everything. But this is time travel is going on, has been going on for quite some time now.
So is he a good guy or a bad guy?
He was originally in with the Nazis and then pulled away. There are others Nazis that are still with the Nazis. You know what I mean? They're still operating in that way. I don't know how sensitive it is to talk about this subject, because there are people, because Peter talks about Krueger and his former affiliation, that they automatically assume that that's Peter's leanings, and he talks a lot about the Nazi stuff because he's trying to reveal, like the facts of what they did have and what they were able to do and how they've been time traveling, which we've known, or at least I've known it for a while. I've seen them, time traveling, and they still have. I'm going to say that there was a Third Reich, there's a Fourth Reich, there's a Fifth Reich, and now there's a Sixth Reich.
Oh my God.
And, Zelensky is part of the Sixth Reich, by the way.
Wow.
He's part of the Azov group, and the there's a lot of activities there. So, yeah, we still have a lot of things going on around us. But no, Krueger is not affiliated in that way anymore. So, but he is helping the ACIO. So that's sometimes the guys that are involved in stuff. It's like the hackers, the young kids that hack into the government, then suddenly get employed by the government. You know how that works, because they know that they have abilities. So the Krueger augments have also been applied extensively for injured and handicapped individual, and has gone a long way in improving quality of life for many individuals. So that the augments that they created for super soldiers were then released into the medical field to help out people that were in need, be able to walk or to enhance their abilities. The first miniaturized augments were developed in 1922 after World War I, and then went into mass production in 1946 and are still in heavy use today. Today, Krueger is a military contractor largely aligned with supporting a positive agenda. The Krueger Group made an appearance within the Mirror's Edge video game series, where both Gabriel Krueger and Faith Connors are featured as prominent characters, both of which are based on real operatives within Krueger. So Gabriel Krueger, so that they created this video game as a soft disclosure to show some of the things that they were doing, but it would also trigger those people that were involved to activate their memories and recall, which has happened quite a bit. I personally met Faith Connors. She is the granddaughter of Gabriel Krueger. I had a very interesting encounter with her.
Wow.
This is Lincoln Clay. A lot of the super soldiers admire Lincoln Clay because he was over Unit 374 and was very active in Krueger. So his name is William Lincoln Robinson Clay. And he can be seen in the game Mafia 3. He's also in a video game. He is the leader of an independent squad which cannot be disclosed at this time. He and his squad were highly instrumental in rescuing hybrids, crossbreeds, and enhanced children from various advanced military corporations such as Monarch and Umbrella, and he was involved with the early formation of Merge. Lincoln Clay and his squad coordinate their missions with Krueger. So he was involved with rescuing children that were taken by these corporations and that were manipulated. Some of these children were very gifted, and so they were abducted from their families and put into these facilities and mistreated very badly. And Peter was involved with the mission and to help rescue these children. And I was also involved with talking to them and trying to help the children early on to work through some of their issues, because they had a lot of issues, still struggling with some of the abuses that they went through.
So who are the ones that are capturing these children and doing this to them?
That is a corporation like Monarch, Mobius, Murkoff, Shawhouse, a whole bunch of them.
Wow.
And these corporations have underground facilities in the border between Canada and the U.S. They're really close to us. Yeah, and there's also there's an underground facility not in Arizona too that we've been looking at.
Yeah,
which could be part of your
me.
struggles that you've had as well, because you're just disclosing information, so they'll definitely not make it easy for you.
That explains a lot.
Well, you know what? If you weren't doing anything, they wouldn't care about you, right? If you weren't doing anything and making a difference, they wouldn't care.
Yeah, true. Yeah, they shadow ban me. They do a lot of things that they try to interfere with any financial help. They try to, there's people who will subscribe, and then all of a sudden they're not subscribed. They will like, and then all of a sudden it's not like, that kind of thing. So that's why it's really important for the listening audience to check your subscription and check your likes and see what happens. If you want to continue to get, information that they don't want you to have.
Yeah, and they create a lot of distractions. So I know over the years there are people that'll listen to us and then they go listen to these other people, and the other people are giving them a lot of distractions, not anything in the right direction. And then they come back to us, they're confused, and that's what it was intended to do. And so that's why, they'll lure people away from what you're doing. You see what I'm saying?
And they provide distractions in my life, I believe.
They will. They'll create problems. Yeah, so personal problems. Absolutely. That's what we call a targeted individual, and that could be another topic or discussion. We call it TIRAP, TIRAP.
Well, we'll start doing more of these presentations, and you can talk about different topics like that and present what you know.
Okay. To help you and to help others in your community, to better understand what they're going through, because this is not easy, and nobody knows really who to listen to, who to trust. They don't know what's fact or fantasy. They don't know if people are just picking up other people's information and then posing it as their own. And, there's a lot of different things going on there. And you have to be pretty good at deciphering who's who as a listener, to be able to weed through it all, because there's a lot out there.
Yeah, there is. And there are a lot of people a lot bigger than I am.
But maybe there's a reason. I'm not going to begrudge anyone that's bigger, because I know that, they're a part of maybe an agenda of some sort that it's okay for them to get through. And I don't want to be coupled in with that anyhow,
Right.
But well, anyhow, when the true disclosure starts coming through, and less of the distractions, then the people that are saying the right things, or are speaking their truth and not fabricating anything. I think, well, they always say that the cream always rises to the top, in the end. But back to the information, I just want to bring up Lincoln Clay because he's really important for super soldiers, and maybe for you, or to some people, it might not be interesting, but to super soldiers, he's very, very important. He's very critical. And he was born and lived in New Orleans. He served in the Army and Vietnam, and currently operating as leadership in this day, and has been in charge of many elite Krueger runners. So if there are any soldiers out there, they'll appreciate this. Currently, many of the Krueger runners have become Krueger agents, so they've kind of gone to the next level. And Peter the Insider works with Lincoln Clay's team, as well as many other Krueger agents.
Are these the guys that go to the underground bases and
Yes.
rescue children and so on and so forth?
That's exactly what I was talking about. So they call it the Merge Monarch Umbrella Rescue Group. So that they were pulled out of these facilities, and some of them have some of these kids have incredible abilities, like kinesis. That they can move things around just by looking at it.
Wow.
Crazy abilities. Yeah. Time travel. They time travel a lot. Yeah.
Are these natural abilities? Are these somehow enhanced with implants or what?
That's a good question. I mean, I think that they already had some natural abilities, and then I think they were further enhanced. And there are, and of course, they have a knowledge of things in access to things that others will never see in their lifetime. Some of them are able to change time, so if someone dies, they can undo it. It's some crazy abilities. Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, I was doing a mission in Europe, and there was a white vehicle, kind of a van, drove up beside us, and then started going ahead of us. And the guy in the passenger side looked over at me and pointed at me. I saw something hit. It hit the windshield, like right around my heart area.
Oh my God!
And all of a sudden, my head started to spin, like something weird was happening, some kind of time anomaly or something. And then I found out later that they shifted the time, that they shot me with some kind of weapon.
Wow.
That was over in Europe, probably around maybe around 2018 or so.
Wow.
Yeah.
Scary.
It is. They know who the assets are, who have been doing certain things, so they come looking. They'll look for you. And I just happened to be at the wrong place, the wrong time when that happened. And I had another incident too. It was the last year where there was a sniper kept showing up every time I got on a plane. I went to Florida. He was right next to me. He kept on deliberately dropping a Coca-Cola next to me.
Huh.
And I was looking at him like, why is he doing that? And he kept drawing. Then he dropped his phone. And then he dropped another drink, and it got all over me. And I was like, why is this guy doing that? I found out he was a sniper. He's kind of warning me. And when we were in
why would he warn you?
Oh, well, warning me to stop doing whatever I was doing.
Oh.
And I found out that from Peter afterwards, because I said I knew this guy wasn't normal. And I started looking at him, and I said he didn't look right. Like I knew he was a hybrid of some sort. And then when I was over in I was in Germany. It was the border of Germany and Denmark. And the guy showed up again. He showed up again. We were sitting down having something to eat, and he walked by me and was looking right at me as he was walking. He was like challenging me. And then we went to another store, and he showed up again. I don't know. It was weird. It was
Wow.
very weird. He followed us from Denmark, and we saw him over in Germany again. Yeah, it was crazy. Anyhow, let me get back to this. So we have Anthony Zender. He's one of our Krueger agents from Unit 374, and he was born in West Palm Beach. His name is Anthony Kaminsky, born in 1985. And I'm sure you've heard of Anthony. He's been out there publicly. He's demonstrated gifted and talented abilities in emotional, physical, and mental and spiritual realms. At the age of 6 years old, his first military abduction experience was as a part of Operation Green Star for the CIA. And during his childhood, he was abducted numerous times to deep underground military bases where he was turned into a Generation 6 MK Ultra super soldier. And he was groomed throughout his whole life by the military. And at the age of 16 was when he began his service for Dark Fleet for the military contraction of contractors Krueger and Monarch.
Wow.
This is Michael, who's a Krueger agent in Unit 374. He was born in 1990 in the Pacific Northwest region in the United States within a middle-class Asian American family. On the surface, he had already been living a perfectly normal, uneventful life until meeting me in 2018 and uncovering the true nature of his involvement in the secret space programs and super soldier projects. He's starting from his childhood. Michael was pulled into various My Labs and was brought into programs as a science and technology specialist in multiple fields, having worked with elite level scientists and engineers within the special access programs. Michael was positioned as a scientist and a technology operator within the ACIO to occasionally assist Peter in the 12th Division in various missions, in addition to being a member of the Merge. So he was also one of the Merge, specializing in altering and fixing of various broken and defective timelines and anomalies that pose significant risks to disrupting other realities via bleed-through effects. And if you listen to Michael, he's got quite a sense of humor. He's helped soldiers in the medical field to try to help heal them and so forth in missions. And he's kind of a fun guy to listen to, and he has a lot of funny jokes about cats. I don't know, he acts like he hates cats, but he doesn't. But if you listen to him, he's just a regular guy, but he's been very, very helpful with the ACIO and Unit 374. This is Olaf Anderson. He's a Krueger asset in Unit 374 as well. He's a super soldier SSP experiencer, an asset for the German-based Krueger Mercenary Corporation as well as the ACIO. He was born in 1963, and he grew up for much of his life in Scandinavia region, where he eventually developed his talents in artistic work, in which was not until 2016 when Olaf made contact with Peter the Insider, the ACIO's 12th Division, and began his investigation into his role within the super soldier programs. Olaf was chosen from birth to become a super soldier asset and was quickly recruited into MK Ultra Omega programming at the young age. And as a child, Olaf had multiple encounters with various ETs, groups such as those of planet Asta, with a humanoid-looking presence standing at roughly 7 feet tall. Olaf began to take a liking to their benevolent nature and eventually saw them as family. This is where Olaf gained early exposure to a number of advanced technologies and underwent extensive training. This is Tyson LeBose, who was born in 1980 in Montreal, Canada, to Haitian parents. At an early age, he discovered he could use certain abilities to manifest events related to weather manipulation and energetic healing. These abilities were the product of the effective trainings that he would do in the programs. From birth, he was screened for the programs due to his genetic heritage, which is comprised of genetic signatures from various ETs and other indigenous groups such as Lemurians, Atlanteans, and Olmecs. Certain metaphysical experiences triggered him to rediscover important intel within his genetic heritage, Interesting, 3 of those experiences happened to occur in the island of Haiti, Hispaniola, in 2001 and 2015. It included the visit of an Arawak spirit at K's the initiation by a multi-luminous being at Saint Deo, and the moment of time traveling to Puerto Plata. After moving to another region in 2017, a series of memory recalls started to appear. This included recalls from the video games Mirror's Edge, Quantum Break, and seeing a portal next to Ottawa International Airport. These succeeding events led Tyson to make contact with Jessica Marrocco and Peter. And then, as a Krueger agent, Tyson is equipped with natural enhancements and was involved in several assignments, such as conducting rescue operations in the dump facilities and neutralizing portals in time travel missions. In the first decade of 2000, he started to receive unexpected downloads of information at sporadic times, and these events were manifesting due to the service with Shoreline, by which he obtained special permission to access certain energetic fields. And Tyson continues to work with me and Peter to uncover more of his involvement in the programs. He remains active by uplifting humanity and is the host and producer of the YouTube channel, The Galactic Talk. Some people already know or are familiar with Tyson.
Galactic Temple. I'll have to look that up.
Corporal X, the peacekeeper, born in Quebec, Canada. He was also known as the Peacekeeper, showcased extraordinary athletic and academic prowess from an early age, excelling in high-level hockey with deep passion for martial arts. His potential was evident from the start. Childhood memories often hint at mysterious abductions, during which he skillfully fended off numerous attacks and evaded capture multiple times. At the age of 18, driven by a sense of duty, he enlisted in the Canadian Infantry. His rigorous training equipped him with specialized skills in nuclear, bacteriological, chemical warfare, urban warfare asset, and VIP protection, advanced driving techniques, and crowd control. He became adept as a machine gun operator and a tow gunner, emphasizing his versatility on the battlefield. He was deployed in former Yugoslavia. He was tasked with protecting hospitals that bore a striking resemblance to what is referred to as a dump today, made particularly challenging due to the nature of the patients within. And his excellence in service and leadership potential was recognized when he was nominated for Soldier of the Year in his regiment. However, after 5 years of commendable service, he chose to step away upon relocating near Palm Beach, Florida. He was scooped up by the secret space program in his clandestine realm, and he is recognized as a leaked soldier or a light soldier. The secret space program not only completed his unique DNA enhancements, but also augmented his skills, particularly enhancing his psychic abilities, grooming him for both current and upcoming missions. And as a Krueger asset, he is distinguished position in special ops, specializing in reconnaissance, demolition, infiltration, and extraction missions. Due to the profound involvement and unparalleled skills, adversaries have continuously targeted him throughout his life. Jerome recognizes that when one pushes against malevolence, evil invariably pushes back. In civilian life, he is a polymath with an expertise spanning human and animal psychology, criminology, business, law, and real estate, and a dog trainer. Above all, he's a devoted father, proud patriot, and ensures that malevolence finds no sanctuary, always living up to his oath and leading and inspiring by example as the peacekeeper.
Awesome.
These are the people that are going in and rescuing and helping out. This is Navy John. He is an SSP experiencer, Navy veteran, member of Krueger Unit 374, born and raised in northwestern part of the United States. John was abducted by Greys at a young age and conscripted his various MyLabs to be used for various agendas by Mobius and Monarch Corporation. He was reported to have exceptionally high strength to weight ratio from a young age, and John would eventually be rescued by Krueger Unit 374 to work alongside Peter the Insider, Lincoln Clay, and the rest of the unit. In his present life, John joined the Navy directly after high school to be trained as an aircraft mechanic. He was stationed on the West Coast with a helicopter squadron and was also attached to the Leo Ops detachment with the task of hunting down and detaining drug dealers. John also served as Operation Desert Storm before departing Navy service and returning to aviation in 2023. John was able to connect with Peter and myself, where he was able to uncover the early origins of the notorious Shadow Group, which has committed numerous crimes against humanity and irreparable damage to world events throughout time travel manipulation. Today, John works as a defense contractor and continues to explore his connection to the special access programs Krueger in Unit 374. So there's quite a few people that'll say, well, you have your team and everything, but the one we feel is really authentic is Navy John, because he works for a defense contractor or whatever they see in his. And that's not, yes, John is very, very skilled, but every single one of them contributes something. I just wanted to clarify that because I've heard that before. So more information regarding the ACIO, all of its content can be viewed on www.acio-official.org. And that is the end of the presentation.
Wow, that's fascinating.
Right. Okay.
I got an unusual question that just came to mind, and so I want to ask it real quick. Are there people out there who might claim to be a super soldier and they're totally lying?
It became trendy. Yeah. I think for you even amongst different groups, you're going to have to prove the things that you recall. And the problem is that people are keeping an eye on everything. And so if you're saying something that someone else has said, you could say, well, I remember because I was there, or, and they're repeating everything the same. No, there has to be more to it. And one way to validate that is through Peter. Now, I'm not saying everyone has to go through Peter to prove that they were a super soldier,
Mm-hmm.
but he can provide details for those, because what's tricky, Gail, is that they get mind wiped. Even like regular soldiers get mind wiped to a certain degree, because remember, those missions are supposed to be very, very private. They're not supposed to be shared with the public.
Mm-hmm.
And so if people are talking about that they were a part of something and going into detail, they can get hurt, because that's against the rules of the military to share information that was part of some type of clandestine mission. And it's definitely a no-no, and all of them know that. Real soldiers know that. So if you hear a soldier going on in all sorts of detail or whatever, and you have to say, well, either they're lying or they're looking for an early grave. Something's going to happen, because it's true. If you start talking about things that you're not supposed to talk about, so it's kind of a tricky thing. But I can tell right away when someone's fabricating, but a lot of people can't, and that's the problem. And also, if you're not really researching and watching super soldiers over the years, then they, you can't tell whether or not they're using somebody else's story. Like I've had people
Right.
using information. I even had someone come out and try to use my origin story, which was really weird. And I was like, why are they even saying that? It's kind of like what happened to my life,
Mm-hmm.
And then they were repeating that. And then I've had people go in and listen to like their regressions that I've done with other people, and then actually using that person's name and saying that they were there in time, that, kind of a similar scenario. And so I would catch it, and it's unfortunate that people are doing this type of thing. They really don't need to. I think if you have an interest in it, it's very likely you were involved on some level or had some type of history. So my recommendation is to get the right information for yourself. If you really want to be out there, at least have some level of authenticity rather than copying other people. It's really a big no-no.
Really? Yeah. I'll have to ask you about a few things from her.
Yeah, sure.
Privately.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay. We don't want to go into it here.
Yeah, no. Wow. Well, that was very, very, very interesting and fascinating. And wow.
It's a lot, right? There's a lot of information there to really think about.
Yeah, there sure is. I think the listening audience is so flabbergasted they don't even have any questions.
Someone mentioned Blade Runners. We just did a show on that about Blade Runners. There's a woman, Sophia
okay.
Maya. If you look on my channel, Sophia Maya, has talked about how she kept on feeling like she was a synthetic, and I actually found her in that storyline. So I thought that was pretty interesting. But,
Nancy says she believes she's targeted.
Yeah, Nancy, I recognize Nancy. How you doing? And I'm glad. Nice to see you here. And yeah, I mean, she never shows her face. The people, she's around everywhere, Nancy, right? But she doesn't show her face, and she's trying to keep a little low key. And I understand a lot of the people that are listening, they're listening because that they were targeted. So yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Does anyone out there have any questions? Well, we've been going for quite a while already. I usually, let's see, almost 2 hours. Okay. I usually stop at about an hour and a half. So we might have to quit because it gets hard to upload again. And I might try to edit that one part in the beginning when we were, because that took up some time.
Searching for it and everything. I know. Sorry about that.
Well, that's not your fault. That happens all the time. I mean, it's a new platform, and I've had the same thing happen to me, so you don't have to apologize. It's just when you're doing it in your live, it's like,
I know.
Anyway, I try to forget about it being live when I do it. So anyway.
No, because it makes it worse. Then you start focusing on it.
Right. Well, I that was a wonderful presentation and extremely informative. And I think it would be best if we'll have you back on again, and we can talk about this more. And in the interest of time, I think I'm gonna close it down, call it a wrap for now.
Yeah, that's exactly what I felt like it was going to do, because it is a long presentation, and you have to really kind of digest a little bit of what I'm saying, and then you're
probably, yeah.
Well, please, explain to me why is, and I know you were trying to ask me a little bit while I was doing the presentation, but it is, as I said, it's long and involved. And I brought up all the bios and everything too, because I think people should understand what's going on and how people are.
I probably shouldn't have asked anything while you were going, because it may take a little bit longer, but
it might have, but you know what? It's okay, because like you said, we can always come back and we can discuss.
I couldn't help myself. Can I say?
Well, yeah, because you're looking. It's like, wait a minute, what is that?
Yeah, inquiring minds want to know. Okay. Well, thank you so much, and I'll have you back. We're gonna do more shows, because I think this is an extremely timely topic with extraterrestrials, aliens, super soldiers, all of that. And so, thank you so much for your wonderful information and for coming on the show. It's an honor to have you. Thank you,
Gail. I appreciate it. It's an honor to be here, and I don't do this for too many people. I'm very selective in who I share with, and I want to be around people that are friends and are open to our type of content. And like I said, we have a lot of information, and I saw someone asked about ChatGPT. We can talk about that too sometime.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
And I'll let you know what Peter has to say about it. But meanwhile, thank you. Thank you again. And I'm looking forward to another conversation.
Alrighty. And I do have to contact you. I got a few private questions for you. And but we'll talk again soon and set something up again. So thank you so much. Thank you everyone for listening. And wow, that's a lot to digest. So start digesting, and maybe you can have questions when she comes back. So thank you so much, everyone. Have a great evening.
We have found our way. It's a brand new day, and we'll be making history. Are you with me? Won't you stay? We have lift your voice for those before us. We can rely on one another. Feel the pride, let's show our colors. We are heroes and dreamers. We are restless believers, stronger than ever. Never say never. Don't look back now. Don't look back now. Rise up, stand with each other. We are sisters and brothers, finding our place and running the race. We'll take our chance and seize the moment. Hold on tight and don't let go of all your hopes and dreams that light the way. We control our fate. Destiny awaits. We are all the actors in the stories we create. Hope will be our guide. We'll no longer hide. When we roll like thunder, feel the wonder from inside. This is the time we form the chorus. Lift your voice for those before us. We can rely on one another. Feel the pride, let's show